Good afternoon, everyone. We are back in full effect. Life lessons for a time such as now. And this afternoon, I have my sisters, as always, Crystal and Tracy.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Renee.
Hi, Chris. Hi,
Renee.
Tracy. Yes. So today, our topic, we're going to talk about, help me out, ladies, letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go. Yes. This is
Yeah.
it. We told y'all we was going to, what to say, Chris?
Well,
That was one of the ones that was funny that I wanted to say from before. If you've been following us, that Tracy, she slipped that in. Now Crystal did the same thing. Well, so when you start talking about letting go, that is deserving of a well,
Let it
because
go,
I know,
let it go.
right? And then I hear, before I let go, right? Before I let go. Before I let go. That's how you know we always would get on the dance floor. You cannot play that song and we don't get up and get on the dance floor. We be letting it go. We be in the club letting go, talking about before I let go, right? So we want to have a lot of fun with this episode. So we welcome you all to Life Lessons for a Time Such as Now. Please click subscribe and share. And as our sister Tracy said in the last episode, if you heard, share with someone else too. I think we like that very much in our reflections, right? So letting go. When I think about letting go, it's like a whole myriad of things that comes up for me. Like, what can we think about letting go? So I had a list. So we let go sometimes of family, sometimes we let go of our husband, our man or woman. Um, we let go of our children. We let go of jobs. We let go of our peers sometimes. We even let go just on life. And that's really the one I want to talk about, right? Because we kind of can understand as women of a certain age that we've probably let go of a lot of that over the years, all of those. But the one thing that we have not let go of is life. And that's why, hence, I love it, ladies. Life lessons for a time such as now, right? Because when we think about it, that's why we're here, because we're not letting go. We're not letting go of our purpose. We're not letting go of the reason that we're here with you. We're not letting go of each other. And let me tell you, behind the scenes, there'd be some times we'd be like, I'm out, let go. But we don't do that either, right? We're not doing them, letting goes. So I want to really discuss what that really means in context. Like, it takes a lot of strength, right, to not let go, because like, can you imagine, like, just think of a tug of war, like the old time we was in school, you had the tug and you'd be pulling and the other side be pulling and you'd be like, don't let go, right? So your partner behind you, you better not let go, because that's really what life is about. We don't want you to let go. Letting go, in a sense, means what? You've given up, right? You've walked away. You've said it's done, finite. I'm over. That's it for me. And you let it go. But in life, I wonder, do we really ever really let it go? Right? Because there's going to be some things that we'll talk about later. We don't want to do a what they call a spoiler alert. But then that causes other things in you when you really sit with that, right? So I think when it's time to let go, right? But like when your work is done, and we are women that are Christians, we love the Lord, we focus on God. And when our work is done, we want him to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And that's the only time that I want to let go, is when he called me home from doing his work. Amen. Because that's what it is all about for me, because I don't want to let go. We could discuss for days about things we let go of, but how about we discuss how we don't let go, how we hold on, right? How we keep the focus on what is purposeful to hold on to and not let go. What do you think, ladies?
Ooh, that was good.
That was real good. Yeah.
We can end the episode right now.
The mic already.
Yeah, that was good.
Hit the subscribe.
So I definitely, I agree with what you're saying. What is letting go, and should we let go? Some things we shouldn't let go. And we should hold on to and fight like hell, to keep it going. And some things, for health purposes, mental, emotional purposes, right? The value of who you are purposes, you gotta let go, right? Some things can hold you down. And if it's holding you down like an anchor, you gotta let it go, right? So if you look in your life and you see, every time, this guy said he gonna get a job, don't
Tracy,
get one.
don't do that. Don't do that.
But I keep paying all the bills. And now I'm in debt. Credit score was 750.
Whoa.
Now it's 550.
Whoa.
In there.
You should let it go. You should let it go.
That's good
right?
stuff.
Because it's showing you, and if you look at anything that's about positive growth, you can see it. So for an example, if you look at a flower, right, and it just looked like a little bud, but then, as it go on and in the water and God is nurturing it, it blossoms because it's getting the necessities that it needs to grow. And so if you are in not just a relationship, but whatever it is that's keeping you from blossoming, then you should let it go. But if it's something like a good marriage, and we have to talk about that in another episode, because there's some good marriages and some no. The marriages that we had, I'm just talking about what Renee and I talked about.
Right.
Our marriages weren't good. So we had to what?
Let go.
Okay. We had to let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Yes. Get up on out of here. Let it go. So,
Not Tracy always do it. Why it's always Tracy?
We got to let it go. Right. And so, I always say, because I look at myself and I know when I was in that relationship, a long relationship, not even my ex-husband, it was a long relationship, and I kept staying there, and then I would leave, and then I would go back, and then I would leave, and then I would go back. And I felt like, because he was helping me pay my bills, he was my protector because he was. I didn't feel protected before from anyone. And this gentleman was protecting me from any harm. Not realizing he was harmed too, but, he was protecting me from other harm. Providing, paying my bills, my rent, helping me with my children. I shared that in the other episode. But he was no good for me mentally. He was no good for me emotionally. Because he was using me, right? He was using me for what I can give to him. And therefore, it was draining me. I was always depressed, sad, like I don't want to be in it, but I do because I love him so much. Man, I loved that man. I did.
Yes, she did.
Loved that man. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, that's just him. He was arrogant, annoying, egotistical. I can go on and on. But I kept coming back because of the words that he would say and that he would use to pull me back in. I would go back because he would show and give me this, his actions. When I would go to another state, he was right behind me, bringing me back. I was going back because he was over there crying with the tears in his eyes, saying he loved me and he wanted to be with me. And so as I would go back, every now and again, I would go back and forth. It was like every time I would go back, it was just something in my spirit that was getting heavy. Because for that moment when he would touch me or if he would make love to me, he would kiss me and he would look in my eyes and say he loved me, I wanted to believe it. But then when he would go off, don't know where he is, then I would be sad. That's not what God had intended for my life. And so I wasn't fulfilled. And so for a minute, when I want to put it under the rug so that I can feel this monetary or if I wanted to feel this for a minute, I wanted to feel just that love, like, please, just make this work. And it came to a point in my life that I realized you have to let it go, Trey.
Wow.
This is not for you. It is temporary. Temporary pleasures,
Wow.
temporary satisfaction. It was temporary what he was giving me.
That is
Because he
good.
couldn't give me what I needed in my life.
Yeah.
Therefore, what I had to do, girls, what I had to do, what I had to do.
Let it
Let it go.
That's it.
go.
Upset. Very nice, Trey.
That's
Dang, she went
good.
there. Woo.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Before,
Chris. Now
look,
we can end the show.
yeah, for real. Like, it's nothing else for me to say. You know,
Jeez.
she gave the before I let go to let go.
Right.
Before I let go.
Mm.
That's why we keep hearing it.
Right.
That was very good, Trey. Very good.
Because y'all both know it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we know. We was right there.
Mhm.
What you think, Chris?
Well, what I think I mentioned this before in one of our episodes about staying too long.
Mm.
And yeah, before you know it, we become complacent and we keep again telling the lies that we tell ourselves,
Mm.
stay bound, because that's what we'd be doing to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we stay bound. And then it begins to be hard to let go. Even though we know that we need to let go and walk away from this, sometimes we've been in it so long we get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You better say that.
Situation. Okay. And then the longer we stay in that thing, the harder it is to let it go.
Mm.
So I'm going to use a situation, you know, that I was in. So me and this woman, my so-called friend, we've been friends for like, how's my son, 27, about 28 years.
Mm. Wow.
Okay. And my mother had warned me about her from day one. You know, she was like, she's really not your friend. Ah, mom, yeah. They thought, yeah, she's cool. She all right. She a little, you know, rough around the edges, you know, tough as leather. You know, she's just, you know, consumed by her hurt because she never healed from her hurt. Not knowing who her father was and just, you know, all the stuff that she went through in her life. So without her even realizing it, that stuff really began to take root.
Mm.
Hurt people hurt people. So I guess I was maybe one of the closest people to her. So she always wanted to hurt me.
Mm.
I have gotten out of my bed at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because she was in a very abusive relationship with, you know, her husband and with her son. And she didn't live close. I got out of my bed one morning, about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, rollers in my hair, pajamas and everything. A
Mm.
distress SOS call. I jump out of the bed to go out there to rescue her and to bring her back to my house. So, you know, 28 years, you know something about somebody, you know. So this recently, we had a big blowout and she was trying to hurt me. Now, previously, she did hurt me, okay? And I let it go and she wound up having to come back, you know, because she needed me and I opened up my door and let her come back. Long story short, this girl went off on me so bad one day. When I say she went off, I mean, she cursed me, anything and everything that she knew about me. She was just throwing it up in my face. She called my mother a drunk.
Mm.
And my mother is dead. You know, my mother was dead. She came to the funeral. She was saying all kinds of things to me. Well, there goes the boom.
Tick, tick.
Boom. And I mean, it got to the point that I really physically wanted to fight, you know, and she brought me out of my character so much that I had to say every cuss word from A to Z, and I made up a couple. Okay. I made up a couple. And at that point, I realized I have to let this girl go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She assassinated my character. She has used and abused me on all levels the entire time we've known each other. And as much as I loved her, and I still love her, because I always look at the good in people, I don't really focus too much on the bad, because she does have a beautiful heart. She really does. And I can say that. But because of her hurt and her pain that she hasn't let go, she will always inflict that on me. And if you can't give me life or bring life into my life, and you got to bring me out to, we got to fight and argue all the time, I can't.
Right.
I can't. So I had to let her go. It still hurts a little bit because I do miss her, because she's funny. She's real funny. But I had to let her go. So when do we understand and get to the point? When should we know to let somebody go, or let go, whatever it is? If it's not that somebody, that's something that we're holding on to. My experience is, if it's hurting you, or make you feel any kind of way, if it's not bringing no life into your life or something positive in your life, you always feel like you're carrying this load when you get around this person, or you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, or whatever it is.
Right.
It's not gonna let go. You can love somebody from afar. They don't always have to be on your front row, because everybody don't belong on your front row anyway.
Right. Right.
Nicely said.
Yep, I agree.
Oh, and I always say that prayer has no distance, right? And so I really can speak to both of those scenarios. But I really, because my life story is that, I just want to touch on the fact that you say how. Is in the Bible, Paul talks about it, right? We have to be all things, we should be all things to all men, right? And I will add, as my pastor would say, and women too, right? So when you think about that, for me, yeah, it becomes a difficult task because your flesh is in the way, right? Because we're human and we love, and you just said it. I loved her so much. She's funny. She has character. I've been there for her. I tried to rescue her, doing all those things. And, I have my series of, I just went, in fact, and she just called me back, or maybe a week ago, this Wednesday. So a week ago, this Wednesday past is when, and I raised her up. Like, she's in my friendship and sisterhood and mentorship with her for 20 years. And that's a long time. And she got them babies. And I don't play, because you got the children involved now. You know what I mean? And so you take the babies and then you bring them back, and then I lose the time with the babies. And with my son and my daughter-in-law, they take the kids and they do that, and you lose time with them. And so all the time you're counting that you lose, it's hurtful, right? And so then you come back, and then somebody does the apology, or both. Most times it's only one person, because the other person is on the other side of that, being very stoic, like, yeah, apologize, right? Yeah, you're back now. And it's like, what? But I find, for me, being humble and being that person that can walk in humility, but speaking to what Paul says, and being all things to all men and women, sometimes we can't do that, right? It's just not us. And we have to know the signs of when we need to really exit and to let go. Because we could be thinking, I mean, you start counting, you said 28 years. That's only 8 years off of me and this person. I have 47-year, 50-year friendship. And it's like, you want to think about that. Like, I really want to consider, is this really wise, is what he asks. Is it wise? Is it fruitful to the upbringing of the kingdom's work? Is it meaningful to God? Is it, he said that he would wish that we would be well, and that our soul, that we would prosper, and that our soul, right, would be good. And that is a soulish thing, when you can feel, like you said, that heaviness and that weight of carrying something, whether it's a day, a week, a year, however long you carry it, and there's no resolution, and then it's repeated, like it's just a rinse, wash, repeat kind of cycle. and you're going in and out, and you haven't let go. Like you say, I'm done. This is it for me. That's it. And then you come back, like you said. Then you come back, right? And really, the Bible also speaks to when we remove things that we clean our heart, it comes back 7 times 7. And so the burden, it becomes heavier and it's harder to break and to leave and to let go. So what I agree with is if it's harmful, and I was recently told if it's taking you back to that Renee from 155th and 8th Avenue, from the Polar Grounds projects or from my walk, you understand? Um, then that means for me, it's time to let go. If I, am emotionally irregulated, dysregulated, and I'm not feeling myself and I can't be myself. Like these are the things that are points when I say these are too many checks, right? Because I use them all for my ex-husband. I use them all, for my, before my mother passed, I had to spiritually and emotionally, I had to let her go. Right. And that was the hardest thing. When a person dies, that's final, right? There's no more, you don't make the decision whether or not you can let go. That is final. They're gone, and you have no more to say about whether or not you can. Now you on your own to working those things out, right? And so even in death, we could still let go because I was healed by in a lot of areas for what my mother did to me psychologically, emotionally, physically, and that abuse that she did in the domestic, families situation that we see children suffer. And I was a child that suffered, and I was a child that became a woman that had to let go. And so in letting go, when we're framed in the beginning, what I think in some of those abuses and not really trained up on what's healthy and what's not healthy for us, we take more on than we should, because I had a friend that when it was over, it was one argument, one and done, and she was out. Never heard from her again. You have some people that can literally walk away, right? And they do it fine. One and done. They're not sticking around, right? But I think that what happens is that if we're not developed that way, right? And so we become, like I always say, I'm reinventing myself over and over again because it's important for me to be able to mark that in the relationships that I have, no matter if it's work, family, friends, men, situation with children. If it comes to a point where Renee has to let go, oh, trust and believe, I'm letting go, right? Because I only I just said it in the opener. The only thing I want to hold on to is life, and life more abundant is what Christ Jesus promised me. He promised that. So all of those things that we're talking about is not conducive to my soul being well. It's not healthy. It's not mentally, emotionally sound. And as a clinician, I know the signs and I know and recognize, well, hey, whoa, I got to pull back. Then I need to pull back. And I teach people that that's what they should be doing. So in hypocrisy, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, right? So when it's time to let go, it's time to let go. And I'll say this in my last and final statement to that is I'll just mark the time. You already been let go. It's just the time when it actually, what they say, materialize, it actualizes, right? Because we have to frame ourselves to be able to do that. And that also takes time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That is so true. And I definitely, can relate to what you and Crystal said, because it's something, a relationship or whatever it is, it's going to be either healthy or unhealthy for you. And when it does affect, your physical being or your emotional being or your mental being, then yes, that means it's not for you. Like you said, no matter who it is. I have family, unfortunately, that I don't talk to and I choose not to, because it's healthier for me. I have friends that I have no longer speak with because it's healthier for me. We are at a particular age in our lives, and I know, physically, I've had health challenges, and I've shared that with you guys in the beginning. And so I don't deal with stress well like I used to. I don't want to deal with it, whether I could or not. I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with anything that comes against my peace, because now I have to protect it because I just found it recently. It hasn't been
Mm.
that long.
Right.
Life was full of drama for me in my life. So this is a new place for me. And I like this place. And I like to be surrounded in this place. So if any drama tries to enter, I like to immediately close that door, because it saves me, and it saves me, and it protects me. And so yeah, I totally agree with that, because when you have to shake, or I think Crystal said walk on eggshells, or if you have to feel nervous, like, so what's going to happen, or if you have to, if your heart start palpitating because of how you're feeling, yeah, I think that that's a clear sign that it's time to let it go. And when you said something, Renee, about materializing, I agree with that. And that's part of that relationship that I was just talking about, right? Because I had let go before I left him completely.
Mm.
So I was no longer tied to him like I was. I had already let go, because I
Mm-hmm.
began to protect myself.
Mm.
And everything that we do is a process, everything. And sometimes before we actually do it, or if the letting go is manifested, if you will, it's a
Mm.
process, because it has to come into your heart or your mind anyway. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then you just make that move for you. And sometimes it's difficult because we're not used to change. Like
Mm.
Crystal said, we become complacent. Who wants to change?
Right.
But change is uncomfortable. In order for you to grow, you must have it.
Right.
In
Amen.
order for you to grow, you got to have some change.
Right.
Can't keep it the same. And so I totally, like I said again, I agree with you guys on that. And I know for me, this is like a great episode. Let it
Yes.
go, because sometimes that's where the challenge is. Because you maybe think, oh, I'm loyal. Oh no, because that person was there for me, in my weakest moment. Oh, that person came, that was me in that relationship, right? So loyalty keeps us there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Guilt can keep us there.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they may be family or friends keep us
Mm-hmm.
there. There's numerous reasons why people stay and not let something go. And when I say stay, I'm not saying physically just being somewhere. You could still have interaction with someone and they're not really physically present. So I'm just saying, with all those things, believe me, I understand. But
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, is it good for you where you're going? Is it good for that? Is it good for you? If you see yourself going somewhere and this is not a part of it, think about that.
True.
And I'm going to bring another thing about letting go on the flip side of uh, all of that. Sometimes, um, I think we did an episode about forgiveness and such.
Not
And
yet.
okay, so we're going to be doing one about that, in later episodes and things like that. But sometimes when we go through life, um, we say that we're over it, or we're healed from it, or we're restored from it, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes uh, we're really not fully, and we thought that we had let these things go. So I think that in life, you should always do self-assessment. Okay. Let's be sure that whatever it is that we're saying that uh, we was healed from or restored and all this stuff from, was the root really killed? Did we really kill that root?
I'm
Can,
on.
can we go back and let's reevaluate, look at this thing again? Because sometimes it's just like when you're having surgery. You don't always get everything out the first time, and sometimes you have to go back in to get the
Right.
rest of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I want to also look at it from that perspective, because when you say letting go can be a very broad thing, a lot of different areas. So we need to go deep and let's look at all the areas in our lives that we said that we let go of this thing. The smoking, the drinking, the eating, the man, the job, the children, the family, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because that for me is when total healing will really come.
Yeah.
Come. You know what I mean? But again, like we all keep saying, it's a process. So
Right.
let the process be the process. Let the work be the work. And let us make sure that we're turning over every stone and every little thing that we can see. And first and foremost, we can't always see ourselves. We can't see everything.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes we do need someone to tell us and see it for us. And hopefully we can take it in love. And whether we agree with it or not, take it in love and look at it. Hey, if you guys see something that in me that I don't see in myself, I expect you guys to tell me, whether I like it or not. It'll give me something to think about,
Right.
something else to look at through, like you say, Renee, all the time, somebody else's lenses.
Right.
I mean, so yes,
Yeah.
let's let it go. Let's totally be healed and walk the way we're supposed to walk, free and liberty,
Right.
peace, joy, happiness.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
hey. So we can
Right.
really do that dance. Hey,
Right. Right.
I'm free. I'm free. I'm really free.
And that's the only feeling really that really, matters. I think that the struggle, that was really good. The struggle becomes, because that's what, deliverance and healing really is all about,
Yeah,
is that self-assessment. Each and every, I say this too, especially um to the people, that anyone that I've ever spoken to about this topic, is God is not going to take it out all at one time. He's not.
right.
He's not going to deliver, because we would be dead. Like if he just
Yeah,
said, okay, zap all
Absolutely.
of the stuff that you've been through, I'm just going to take it out your heart right now. It's
right,
done.
Absolutely.
He could do it because he's the
right.
Almighty God, right? If he
Yeah.
chooses to deliver you from smoking, if he chooses to deliver you, because I decided to let go of what, I used to have this ideation of being married, right? And it was like, oh, I got to be married. I have like a jewelry box filled with proposal rings. And I'm not even kidding. My aunt will always say to me, "What ring you got now, Nene?" And I would be like, showing her the ring. But none of that, materialized, because it was also an ideal. So sometimes we don't even let go of the idea. We don't
Mm,
let go of the idea of
mm.
marriage. We don't let go of the idea of friendship. We don't let go of the idea of sisterhood or familyhood or job. We don't let go of the idea, I'm supposed to be here for 29,000 years and I'm staying at this job and I will retire, right? You're supposed to let go 20 years ago. Okay. Forget
Mm,
about the
Mm-hmm.
90,000 that you got left
Mm-hmm.
and the mileage in you.
Mm-hmm.
You supposed to been let go of that marriage, right? And you still holding on. It's the ideation too, because when you said self-assessment, it makes me think, well, then where is that coming from? Like I really need to be able to assess, right?
mhm,
Should I be letting go? And really, what does that look like for me, right?
mhm,
And that's why I said it hasn't materialized and then it hasn't actualized, because it's something that Tracy said. You could be in the friendship and the love ship and the family ship. I show up and they be like, Renee, you coming? I'd be like, I am not there, right? I have already let go, right? And I'm just doing it for the motion, right? And so I started learning how to be like, you know what? That's not even worth my energy. The motion, the ideation, holding on to the thought of, oh,
mhm,
that's my family. Oh, that's my bestie. Oh, that's my
Come
man.
on.
Oh, that's my, whatever. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
need to do it. I got to do it because, like something that Tracy said too, because that's what we think that we're supposed to be doing. That's an expectation that that's what we're supposed to do. But if you make a self-assessment, if I sit down in that living room and I look up and my daughter come through, I'd be like, you know what? I ain't feeling it. Right. I know that that's a part of me that I've learned now. You say this in my walk and in my steps, how to let go. If it means no, then no means no. Right. If it's a man, if it's my family, if it's my children, whatever the column is, whatever the category, if I'm, making this process, I have to first start with what is the idea that I'm holding on to? Because I was holding on to that. Oh, I'm gonna be the perfect mother-in-law. I got the bestest daughter-in-laws in the world, my grandchildren, and it's gonna be all of us together, vacationing together, and all of us gonna be together. You know what? It was lies. Here we go again with the lies, right? And so it's lies that we're telling ourselves that we can do that one 1,000 times. But I realized that that was me holding on, not letting go. The moment I let go, and I said, man, my grandson, when he turned 18, I'll show up at the graduation. So I am saying that the bottom line is that how when I look at how I let go, I am more healed. I am more able to see clear. I am more able to make sure that Renee is okay, psyche, emotional, physical. Like Tracy said, I have fibromyalgia. I can't be stressed. I can't endure things no more the way I used to, right? And so as long as I'm doing all of those self-assessments and checking the box all the way down, that psychosocial, and I can let go in the process, then I'm good. And I suggest that, for everyone to do that. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I I was sitting here and just thinking about what you were saying, Renee, and I know, like for me, with change comes resistance, right? Comes resistance. And so, you know, everyone always, picture me opposite now of what I see myself. And so, when I was young, oh, Tracy Green. Oh, Tracy is. Oh, Tracy. And I remember it would always keep me in control because I didn't want to be labeled as, oh, Tracy Green. Oh, Tracy this, that, and the third. But the part in my life right now and the growth that I have in myself now is that I'm confident in who I am, and I know I'm not that person. And so I've began to search within myself to see who I really am. And I know you're not that person. And we go back to the lies we tell ourselves, right? The lies we tell ourselves is going to keep coming back.
Yes,
right? It's going to keep coming back. But I always say the lies that people always told me. And so I remember, recently, and Chris, if it's okay, I remember I went out, and I'm like this now anywhere I go, and I'm okay with that, Tracy. And a server would not even look at me, wouldn't give me eye contact. And it was two of us sitting there, but he wouldn't look at me. And he sometimes would have his back kind of sideways, like, turn kind of. And I would be talking, but he would be talking to the other person and looking at the other person as if the other person was the one who was just sitting there by themselves. Fast forward, the person said, he slid a card to that person. And that person said, and the server said, can you scan it and give me and do a survey for me? The person said, well, my phone is kind of messed up. And she pushed it back to me and said, can you do the survey? I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I said, no, I'm not doing the survey. Well, why not? I said, because he had his back towards me the whole time. So he didn't even acknowledge who I was. He didn't even acknowledge me. And now you want me to give him a good, review? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous, Tracy. That's ridiculous. I said, it's not ridiculous. So we went, back and forth a little bit, and I shared with them how I felt about it. And then I changed my mind. I said, well, if you want me to do the survey, I'll do it, but it will be a negative review. No, thank you. I won't do it. No, thank you. I got it. Yeah, I know you do. The good thing about this story is I had let go of how people saw me. And I stand on how I see myself. And I don't care who it is. I will not allow you to cross my boundaries. And he crossed them by acting like I didn't exist. And he tried to tell me the lie again, that I don't exist in this world, and I do. So that's my letting go story. I let it go.
Well,
Nice.
that's good. That's good. So yes, that was absolutely okay to share the story. That other person was me.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, I like that, making a
Oh, well,
stand
that's-
part, right, Chris?
There you
Because
go.
hey, that's what it
Right.
is today. I don't struggle anymore
Right.
with who I am. And yeah, that's it. If I have to to go there, then that means I need to walk away. Yeah.
But you
Or,
understand that though, right, Renee?
yeah, no, I do. I'm not gonna be sitting there giving no good review for somebody to have their back to me. But
Right.
that's part of also letting go of that little girl. See, because that little
Correct.
girl used to be, I don't know. No. I'm able to speak clearly today.
Yeah.
And I'm able to speak my mind exactly what to the cause of whatever it is that is of offense. And so Crystal, I think you was absolutely correct in all of that assessment, right? Making sure that we do that constantly and checking in with ourselves and being very proud and holding your head up high and saying, you know what, it's going to be a negative review, and we may have to do that sometime,
Right. So let me just chime in for a sec about that day. So again, it was very offensive to Tracy for me to say her action was ridiculous, because I didn't see or feel what she was feeling.
Wow.
Okay. So when she began to tell me how she was feeling, and then gave a little demonstration, that's what she did. And she was like talking to me. I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, wow.
That was good.
And she expressed how she felt. So I was like, wow, I'm sorry, because, I didn't see it that way.
Right.
I just, thought that, to me, through my lenses, I love that, Renee. I thought it was a little much, but not considering, or unknowingly, I should say, considering how she was actually feeling. But I appreciated the fact, and this is where respect, love, sisterhood, all that comes into play.
Right.
Because if you don't know if something is wrong, then how do you handle it? How do you fix it?
Right.
So that fixed it. And let me just say this. She just said it nicely, but for a minute, when it first happened, I felt like I got punched in the eye. For real. It was like, whoa, wait. You know what I mean? What in the world did I just, do? Because it was not pretty, her first reaction. And I never shared that until just then.
Well,
wait a minute.
Well, wait, I'm sorry.
Wait, y'all gonna wait.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
we got a couple minutes.
Okay. So, but I'm just saying all this to
Literally
say
a couple.
right, that I had to look at it through her point of view, and then I had to digress and apologize to her. And at that point, guess what? What we do, Trey? We let it go.
We let it go. But I just want to say something quickly on that, and thank you, Crystal, because I wasn't going to just get into all of that, but I just was trying to get into the main point. But since you mentioned that, I just felt like if you're not walking in somebody's shoes, you can't see through their lenses. You can't.
Well, you
so
can't
if he's
be
looking at you,
empathetic. You can't
right.
be. That's what
you
Chris
can be empathetic, but you really can't really understand where they are and their point of view, because he's looking at her. He was serving her. He was giving her good customer service. So she couldn't understand that he didn't give me good customer service.
I couldn't understand it. I didn't see it.
Right. Okay. And that's what lenses is all about, and being
correct.
What I like to call grace sympathy, right? Because with grace, you can come in and you can gracefully look into the situation. You may not be physically going through it, but then once you do get the backdrop, I always say, right, then you can be able to begin to do like what Chris just did, is look through a different lens, and understand why that is. Because what I'm hearing is that it's just when you are dismissed so many times, and it sounds like that's, clear about what's happened in that situation. And, it's hard to let go of that emotion, but, you take a proud moment and you say no, and you stand up for yourself and you say the truth. No, you're not going to dismiss me. And you're definitely not going to utilize my intellect by saying I'm going to give you a good rating or not. But now you need me for something. And so now, no. And so that's what, and we'll talk about those in other episodes about, what that really means, like, right, to say no, like really letting go, really, it's just saying, no, you don't get permission to treat me this way. You don't get
Right.
permission to walk over me. You don't get permission to dismiss me. You don't get permission to pick me up and put me down when you need me. You don't get permission to lie to me. You don't get permission to abuse me. You don't get permission to verbally assault me. And all of those things, whether it's physical, emotional, financial, sexual, or verbal, it's still all domestic violence. And people just don't realize it. They're walking around very violently, treating people the way that they've been treated. I love it, Chris,
Absolutely.
you said, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And so that's my
Absolutely.
take on letting go.
Absolutely.
There is.
Yeah.
Wow, ladies, I think this was an awesome topic,
Yes.
topic
Me too.
about
Me
letting go. And again, I hope, being authentic and being real with ourselves and each other, that healing can take place in every area of our life. And
Amen.
again, taking the steps to understanding what it means to let go. So I want to thank you all for joining Tracy, Renee, and
Yes.
myself. This is the end of our podcast for this segment. So please subscribe, share, and like. And thank you for joining another episode of Life Lessons for a time such as mine. We love you. We're praying for you. Peace.
Yes. Thank you,
Bye.
Chris. Bless
Have a good one.
Bye for now.
Bye.